Good evening, everyone. Time for episode 13 of The Last Admiral. Some notable historical events of January 20th include: in 1920, Prohibition takes effect. In 1937, Franklin D. Roosevelt was inaugurated for a second term. In 1961, John F. Kennedy took the oath of office. And in 1981, Iran released 52 American hostages who were held for 444 days. Some notable birthdays include Bill Maher, Buzz Aldrin, David Lynch, and Melissa Rivers. All right, we'll begin our episode today on page 100, taking up where we left off. The road less traveled. Master Vlad, Wraith reported. There is a young man here to see you. What does he want? He says his name is Fu, sir, and that he has a message for you and you alone. Fu. Fu, Vlad thought aloud to himself. That must be Sang Lanu's son, the fisherman. Send him in. Still breathless, Fu entered the dining room. Wraith, Vlad said urgently, bring Fu a pitcher of water. Never in his life had Fu seen such grandeur. The furniture, paintings, statues, and ornaments were unlike anything that he had ever dreamed of. He might have felt anger at the wealth around him, but Fu was not that kind of man. Mostly he was simply amazed at the wonders around him. He eagerly accepted the pitcher. He was trying to pour himself a cup, but his nerves made it difficult. Never mind that, Vlad directed. Just drink it. Fu quickly emptied the goblet and handed it back to Wraith. Thank you, sir. More? Wraith asked. Master Fu? Please, Fu replied. Have a seat and rest a while, Vlad greeted. Tell me what troubles you. Fu rested briefly, and then related his entire tale, from the time they discovered a manta ray in their nets, to the horrible attack, and finally to his rescue by the giant in his debt of blood. And so I must tell you, Master Vlad, Fu said, when you leave for the academy, you must take the road less traveled. If you take the main road, then you will surely die. Vlad sat in silence for a moment, contemplating. I am in your debt, Fu, Vlad declared, and then he said, Derek and I had intended on doing just that, but there is no telling what might have happened if we had taken the carriage. I will think about this and come up with a solution. Please, stay as long as you like. I will have Palmion prepare dinner for you. Oh no, thank you, sir, Fu said, but I must be getting home soon. My family will be very worried, as I was due back last night. I now owe you a debt as well, Vlad affirmed. If you need something of me, just ask, and if it is in my power to grant it to you, I will. Thank you, sir, but I was happy to do it. Wraith, Vlad directed, see to it that Fu gets 10 decadrachm to replace his lost fishing boat and his equipment. I won't leave him penniless after what he's been through. Fu was speechless. Their boat was old, and was not worth half of that sum. He didn't even feel safe carrying such an amount around with him. Please accept it, Vlad urged, and if you find that it's not enough to replace your gear, then don't hesitate to ask for more. Also, if you organize a search party and it's successful, then I will pay any funeral expenses that your friends require. Thank you, sir. That means a lot. Farewell, Fu. Goodbye, sir. Wraith ensured that Fu received his coins and was well equipped with water and food for his journey home. And how is your mother? He asked. It's been quite some time since last I saw her. She is very well, sir. Thank you for asking. Your farm lies on the eastern shore of the Crystal Lake, doesn't it? No, sir, we live near the Three Rivers Bridge, across from the Hu family farm. Oh, yes, of course. That's right, Wraith agreed. I remember it now. Have a safe journey, Fu. And to you too, sir, Fu said. Oh, Fu, Wraith asked. Yes, sir, Fu replied. If you saw that man again, would you recognize him? Yes, Fu asserted. And would you be willing to point him out to me in the name of justice? I would, Fu promised. Then stay close to home for a few days. I may call upon your services. Farewell. Goodbye, sir, Fu said. Waving farewell, he turned onto the road leading to his home and resumed his former pace. Running on, he expected his strength to fade at any moment. With his debt fulfilled, the giant's spell should have left him, but for some strange reason, his amazing strength remained. He laughed aloud at his fortune, but the loss of his friends quickly sobered him. He realized that no matter how he told his story, no one would ever believe him. Okay. Forgotten Road, Mysterious Meeting. Opening day had come. Wraith had outfitted the boys well for their 25-mile journey across Shang-Sun. They sent their clothing and school supplies ahead of them by wagon. All that they needed for this journey were their more personal wares, money, equipment, weapons, and food enough for the hike and spelunking to come. They could have journeyed to the academy by horse and buggy, or even by magic, but some things, simply done, had more meaning, and they had to consider the dangers. Their backpacks were full of useful camping gear, rations, and rope. Their clothing was well chosen, rugged and warm, for they well knew the meaning behind the giant's words. He meant the hidden cave system that perforated the island like honeycomb, formed in eons past by the sleeping volcano that was Shang-Sun. After discovering it, Aklon had spent countless months exploring and mapping its complicated twists and turns. Should he ever need it, he was certain that he could use it to travel about the island in secret or to hide the native people from oppression. A hidden entrance into the tunnels existed between twin peaks, towering spires of volcanic rock that overlooked his lands to the southwest. Only the islanders and a few select and trusted individuals knew its secret location. Standing around the library table, the boys carefully studied the map of the island, especially the area between the mansion and Twin Peaks Mountain. Leave the house by the secret tunnel, Wraith instructed, and then travel over the fields. Use one of the north face trails to climb the mountain. They are much more hidden from view than the main path. We know the way, Derek assured him. No one will see us. Remember that this enemy won't waste his time capturing you. He intends to kill you, and he wants nothing more than that. Don't worry, Wraith, Vlad replied. You taught us well. The night will help to protect you, he said. Try to reach the entrance by dawn. The labyrinth has always been a safe haven, but many years have passed since we explored it. You must take nothing for granted. Protect each other, sleep in shifts, and always be on your guard. We'll search for the offshore exit that vents underwater along the northwest coastline, Vlad declared. And from there, it'll be a short swim and an easy climb to the school grounds. Parliamentary law rules within those walls, Wraith reasoned. Once inside, the Queen's hand will be tempered, and you should be safe at least for a while. Behave yourselves, and don't do anything foolish until you receive word from me. You can count on it, Vlad promised. Good luck, boys. You know what to do. We'll be fine, Vlad said. But what are you going to do? I am going hunting. Keep Shin Pagru close at hand in the event that I should fail. I will, Uncle. They then embraced with stout hugs, and the boys departed eagerly through the basement escape tunnel. Take care of him, Derek. See to it that he stays out of trouble. Derek just winked and smiled up at him through the trapdoor. Wraith smiled back, remembering the immortal passion of youth and the promise of real adventure. Closing the door behind them, he concealed it beneath its woven rug. Returning to his room, he hurriedly prepared a day pack from the contents of his secret trunk. His professional garments were exactly as he had left them, except that his travel leathers were dried and cracked beyond wear. It was immaterial, though, because for the first leg of his journey he would be traveling in disguise. His tools were well oiled and immaculate. His adventurous suit concealed many hidden panels of adamantine mesh, and it still fit him as well as ever. A skilled herbalist, he prepared several doses of an antitoxin based upon the ancient formula of King Mithridates VI, and administered the first cup to himself. The concoction would fortify his body against most of the known poisons and improve its potency over time. Double-checking his gear, he added bread, wine, and cheese from the kitchen to his supplies. Disguising himself as a peasant was simple. Saying goodbye to his home was not. He found his beloved Adeline sitting in the parlor, preparing a few last-minute letters for the Admiral. "Adeline," he said, "I'll be gone for a few days. I have left instructions for you and the household in the event that I should fail to return." Her green eyes betrayed her concern. "Where are you going?" she asked worriedly. "I must confront a dangerous man," Wraith asserted while taking her hands in his own. She rose from her chair, her face soft, round, and lovely. Her bronze locks curled around her shoulders with a life of their own. Every time that he looked at her, he melted. He did not want to worry her, but he had no choice. His skills may be beyond mine. "You are scaring me, Wraith. He means to harm the young master, and I must stop him." "Surely there is some other way," she beseeched. "The constable, perhaps." "This matter must be handled in secret. Involving him would raise too many questions. If I do not return in a week's time, inform Master Vlad that I am dead." "But, Wraith," she implored. "In the footnote is about Mithridates IV of Pontus. He was a prince and sixth king of the kingdom of Pontus, known for his developed resistance to poison." Okay. "Don't worry," Wraith consoled her while pulling her close. "I have spent my lifetime training for this fight. It is meant to be. I shall pray for you. Pray for my enemy. My soul is at peace." Smiling back at her, he was surprised, for he felt only happiness in that moment. There was no sorrow in him then, only eagerness and resolve. "I will see you again, Adeline, I promise." "I will hold you to it." She pushed him away with a shove, and then pulled him in closer to kiss him. "Well," she asked, "what are you waiting for?" Laughing like a schoolboy, he hefted his pack and took up his walking stick. "There could be no goodbyes between us." "I know." She watched as he turned away from her and left by the front door. Trotting along the front walk to the gate, he waved one last time and headed east. Her right hand's fingers drifted to her lips with worry. She could not bear to think what her life would be like without him. It had been years since he had last set out upon the road of adventure. Many old memories flooded back to him, some good and some bad, but in his wisdom he accepted them all and rejected none. Testing his legs, he set out to the east, studying his inner fitness as he went. He was 563 years old, and slightly past what most Doc Alfar considered their prime years. Overall, he felt the same now as he did at 30, save for a touch of stiffness in the knees. His hat was the simple woven cap of a farmer, tipped low to cut the biting glare of the midday sun. Hiking up his puffy sleeves, he adjusted his pack, sword, scabbard, and other gear to their best positions for running. Pausing for a moment, he looked back upon Centurio Domus, for what might be the last time. It had been his home for decades, and within its walls was the only real family that he had ever known. Stroking the 3 fingers of his goatee and beard, he bundled it and then flicked it over his right shoulder as if he was cracking a whip. Turning back onto East Road, he ran like the wind, racing against time toward the house of Fu. The House of Fu. Baron Lou Chiron, also known as Admiral, was the title holder to approximately 25 square miles of land located near the northeast corner of Shangsun, bequeathed to him by the Dragonian general Jin Jiang Lo for exceptional service after the island's forceful annexation. It was also home to most of its remaining native inhabitants. In ancient times, the islanders owed no tithe to god or emperor, but times had changed. Now they did better beneath the watchful eyes of their baron than they would do elsewhere. The islanders' courageous will had not been defeated by their subjugation, and despite their meager living conditions, they remained a strong people who were proud of their heritage. They were experts at farming, fishing, and hunting, and in spite of the trying times of the past, they still lived much as they always had. Most of the baron's lands were now cultivated or managed as pasture land out of necessity, providing food for several hundred people and their livestock. Fu's family lived on just such a farm. His parents still lived. They had sired 7 children, including 4 sons and 3 daughters, 4 of which still lived and worked at home. Their livestock were healthy and fat, including native swine, goats, game hens, and a few cows. The volcanic soil made gardening profitable, and they grew both vegetables and valuable smokeweed. Fu's older brother Hien remained on the farm with his 3 wives and 5 children. His second brother had married and moved to the south. His younger sisters were not yet of marrying age. They spent their time supporting the farm, and in the evenings they studied the people's language and history as passed down by their father. Okay. I'll read one more page. The farm was a busy place, full of life and playing children. The cottages were humble, thatched and warm. The pastures were green, the water clear, and the barn floors well swept. Few non-natives ever visited, as they had few things that the civilized world coveted. The appearance of strangers was always dreaded, for it was usually a tax collector, or as in days gone by, Dragonian conquerors. When a dark stranger arrived, wearing a broad-brimmed hat and peasant's bundle, it raised quite a stir. "Ma, ma," Irina cried, "there is a stranger at the gate." "Oh dear," her mother said, "run inside and get your father." Fu led his father and brother to the gate. They all carried long spears. "Who are you, stranger, and what do you want?" "Fear not, Master Fu," Wraith greeted, tipping back his hat to reveal his face. "I mean your family no harm. In fact, I have come to ask for your help." "Oh," Fu replied, quite surprised. Translating for his father, he continued, "It is Wraith, the headman of Centurio Domus." "Not the headman," Wraith said with a smile, "merely the butler." "Come in," Fu urged while opening the wooden gate. "It is almost supper time." "Thanks, Fu. We have many things to discuss." "I am ready," Fu affirmed. "I've been expecting you." "Are you prepared to travel?" "Yes," Fu replied. "Good, good," Wraith said mischievously. "But if I am right, we will not need to travel past the borders of the island. Then the demon that we seek is here." "I am certain that he is, Fu, but only you have seen his face." "We'll need many men to capture him," Fu warned. "I know what he can do." "I am afraid that we must do it ourselves," Wraith asserted. "I have faced many criminals like him. If we involve an army, he will discover it and disappear before we have a chance to take him. But you are only the butler, and I am only a fisherman." "I wasn't always a butler. I am capable of many things that you might find surprising. But come now, and introduce me to your family. I am famished. And that's where we'll begin the next episode, 14, at the top of page 109, introducing Foo's family. Next adventure. Thank you and have a great night.